Good evening. I'd like to call to order and welcome everyone here to this meeting of the Muscle Shoals City Board of Education.
All right. Thank you, Madam President. Good to be here with you guys tonight. I also want to take the opportunity to welcome a new board member down here to my right, Mr. Corey King. And we're super excited to have him join the board tonight. He's got a great background with experience that I think is going to bring a great perspective to the board. Each of you board members have in front of you the affirmation of a school board member. It's the statewide requirement, the code of conduct for board members, and the affirmation. So at this time, if each of you will take a look at that, hopefully you've already read over it and are ready to sign tonight. And when you sign that, if you'll pass it to me, I'll make sure that it gets entered into the minutes of the meeting and also documented here at the central office. Kind of our way of swearing you guys in. Thank you. All right. Next, Madam President, I present to you the agenda for tonight for the board to consider.
Okay, board, the superintendent has recommended the agenda tonight for us to adopt. Is there a motion on the table concerning this recommendation?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Call for discussion. Hearing none. We will accept that, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, I have no correspondence tonight, so we'll move right along to our consent agenda. For the consent agenda, the board has been furnished with background material on each item or has discussed the item at a previous meeting. The consent agenda items will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, it will be pulled from the consent agenda and voted on separately. For the consent agenda tonight, we have the minutes from the May 23rd and June 8th meetings, bills and accounts for May financial report, and those bank statements have been reconciled. We have a declaration of surplus items, the 2022-23 salary schedule, the appointment of a representative for the board to the sick leave committee being Wimberly Springer, and an increase to the meal per diem reimbursement. Does any board member wish to pull any of these and vote on it separately? Hearing none, Madam President, I recommend approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, board, the superintendent has made a recommendation for the consent agenda to be accepted as presented. Is there a motion on the table concerning this recommendation by our superintendent?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Allman. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Is there any discussion by any board member? Okay, hearing none, let's call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none opposed, Mr. Superintendent, the motion carries.
Okay, now I recommend approval of the personnel report as presented.
Okay, board, the superintendent has recommended the personnel report to be accepted as presented. Is there a motion on the table concerning this?
Madam President, I make a motion that we approve the personnel report as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, call for vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, hearing none, the personnel report has been accepted.
All right, and for the benefit of the audience, the personnel report consists of the following. Under employment, Brooke Beck, auxiliary teacher assigned to the Muscle Shoals Pre-K. Bridget Corbel, auxiliary teacher assigned to Muscle Shoals Pre-K. Daisy Lambert, system-wide CNP assistant and system-wide custodian assigned to Hal Grace Preschool. She will be assisting with the new Pre-K, the Early Learning Center. Becky Puckett, system-wide CNP assigned to Highland Park Elementary. Under other part-time special appointments, supplemental assignments, and nurse substitutes, Ashley Irons, Community Ed Extended Day Program. She's a site lead assigned to the Early Learning Center for the coming year. Additional band help for the middle school summer instruction, Sinclair Elledge. Debbie Taylor, retiree, part-time contract music instruction at Hal Grace Preschool. David Wiseman, contract band director to cover FMLA leave for MSHS and MSMS. Becky Payton, speech language pathology testing services for the summer. Caroline Lindsay, part-time contract speech language pathologist at the Muscle Shoals Early Learning Center, her schedule to be determined. 8 teachers were approved for a stipend for OGAP training. Also, the radio broadcast crew for the 22 football season have been approved, and the live stream crew for the 22 football season also have been approved. And then this is for information only, not for board action. We have a couple of leaves, Doris Carter, system-wide custodian, and Jessica Hood, band director at the high school. And her, of course, hers flexible with medical needs. Also wanted to welcome, I mentioned this during the work session, a new school resource officer to Muscle Shoals City Schools, Officer Frank Eccles. He will be serving as an SRO at Highland Park in Webster, joining Officer Smith, Officer Nesbitt, and Officer Marshall in those assignments. Also, a Kelly staffing update. Malia Hildreth will move from being a special ed aide at Webster to working as a library media aide. And that's a split assignment between Webster and Highland Park.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
All right.
At this time, I would like to commend Dr. Davis and Ms. Almond for their hard work on the CFSO and superintendent evaluation. Those results were presented at our work session. The results were stellar, everything from meets to exceeding expectations, and we're very, very proud of the both of you. And thank you for all the hard work that you guys put into this, and thank you for your presentation that you did today.
All right. The only thing I have left, Madam President, is my report, and just a few things that I want to mention. We are now halfway through the summer months, believe it or not. And as we always say, after the 4th of July, things will just really speed up at that point, and school will be started back before you know it. But Ms. Nichols and I, along with some of the board members, just returned from our annual school board and superintendent state conferences. Heard from Superintendent Mackey and many others about issues that are facing our school systems across the state, and just trying to give us the encouragement we need to go back and communicate these things, obviously, to our stakeholders. The district administrators, Dr. Rudolph asked me this question earlier about when the admin retreat is. And so we'll be gathering in this room July 12th through the 14th, as we normally do every year, to plan for the reopening of school. And of course, those dates are staff back on August the 1st. We'll have a new employee orientation the Thursday before that. And then the students come, ready or not, on August the 4th. I do have one staff recognition to make tonight. Coach Maggie Finley, you may have seen this, was recently inducted into the Winston County Sports Hall of Fame for her time when she was an athlete, a high school athlete. So we were excited for Coach Thomas. I call her Coach Finley. That's how I know her as, and I'm going to continue to call her that, I think. But we do commend her for that. As I've said, we're excited about the new SRO, but that's the police and fire chiefs will be at admin retreat, as they already or always do. They come and we talk about safety. It's an important thing every year. This year will be even more so because of some of the things that we've seen happen, across the country and that sort of thing. But I do commend the Muscle Shoals Police Department. They were in our schools last week doing some drills. And I think it really brings at least some level of comfort to our stakeholders when they see that. We were intentional about putting that on social media so that people know that these officers in the summer months are in our schools. They're, they commonly have new officers come on board. They want them to know the layout of the schools and that sort of thing. And so we appreciate them for doing that. We appreciate Chief Reck and the fire chief also for coming and sharing with our administrators in a few weeks. I look forward to that. I'll also be attending a planning session with EMA. They reached out. I think they're going to do some active shooter type training, and they invited representatives from all the school systems to come just for an initial planning session. And so next month I'll be going to that, and I'll be sure and bring some details back to you guys as well as our administrative team about what that's going to look like. There is a measure under consideration, as I said during the work session, for to invest billions of dollars, they say, in our schools across the country to increase safety and security in our schools. We anticipate, eagerly await to see how much money that will mean for Muscle Shoals City Schools. But just want to assure you, as well as our stakeholders that are here and that may watch this later and read our information that we put out, that we are going to invest in our schools and make them as safe as we possibly can with the resources that we have. And we're lucky in our community to have great support from parents, but also from our city. Definitely want to publicly acknowledge Mayor Lockhart and Chief Reck for providing that fourth SRO, as I mentioned, and they're completely footing the bill for it right now. And so we're going to look for ways to help offset that cost. And who knows, maybe some of this money that's going to be coming from Washington, D.C. will help us put another SRO in our schools. I don't know, but we'll see when we see the money. We will be hosting a substitute teacher hiring event here at the central office this Wednesday to be in this room. We're hoping to anticipate having a lot of folks come. I've seen some buzz about that on social media. They're excited to know that maybe you guys were going to raise sub pay, which we did. And so we look forward to being able to support our classroom substitutes in our cafeterias, bus driver substitutes, those folks who may not have seen a raise in a long time, even longer than our employees, they saw it tonight. And I appreciate your support of them in making that decision. But that event will be Wednesday. It's a come and go event. Johnny Deaton from Kelly Services will be here to answer questions, even help people walk through the application process. It'll be from 10 to 12. He'll take a lunch and then be back from 1:30 to 2:30. So, just encourage people that might possibly want to be a sub in our schools in some capacity to come to that event on Wednesday. I do want to congratulate our state representative, Andrew Sorrell, for being nominated by the Republican Party to be the next state auditor. He's a graduate of Muscle Shoals, and being elected to statewide office is a significant achievement. And so we do want to congratulate him and wish him all the best. Also want to thank Ms. Langley and her staff for working so hard. This particular pay raise this year has been a little trickier, and maybe that's a nice way to put it, right, Ms. Langley? It's been a little bit more difficult to navigate because Muscle Shoals has traditionally paid above the state matrix, and we're going to continue to do that. And I appreciate you guys making that commitment early on. When we saw the adjusted state matrix, we knew it was going to be a little bit trickier, and thankfully the state is now paying teachers what I'm not going to say they're paying them enough. And I'm not going to say they're paying them what they're worth, because that amount I'm not sure I can articulate. But they are definitely showing effort to paying teachers what they should be paying them from the state level. And this board has continued to say, we're going to go a little bit further than that. And I do appreciate your willingness to do that. And then lastly, unless you guys have questions or comments you want to make, I'm going to ask Ms. Karen Sasser if she would come forward. And I have a resolution on behalf of the board. This may be news to some people, but it may not be. I don't know if Ms. Karen has been out sharing her good news, but come stand right here, Karen, just so we can get you on this camera. We want you to be on TV, right?
Right.
But Karen has been our Education Foundation Director for some time, 8 years, I think. And she has recently notified us that she's going to be leaving us and moving on to what she thinks is greener pastures. I'm not so sure. But she's going to continue in the role of a foundation type director for Helen Keller Hospital Foundation. And so, Karen, we appreciate your service for the last 8 years, and the board has a resolution that they would like to give to you, recognizing you for your service to Muscle Shoals City Schools. It says, whereas Ms. Karen Sasser has served as the director of the Muscle Shoals Education Foundation for 8 years, she has displayed initiative and professionalism with students, parents, employees, and community stakeholders. And whereas Muscle Shoals City Schools benefited from Ms. Sasser's commitment to the investment of foundation dollars into classrooms across the district, and whereas during Mrs. Sasser's tenure as director, the Muscle Shoals Education Foundation awarded more than $500,000 in grants and scholarships, with an investment in over $90,000 in 2021 alone. And whereas under the leadership of Mrs. Sasser, countless students graduated from Muscle Shoals High School, having received scholarships from the foundation that assisted them in their collegiate dreams. And whereas Mrs. Sasser also contributed to the Muscle Shoals school system by working as a substitute teacher, which you're going to continue to do, correct? Is that a yes?
If I have time.
If you have time, okay. PTO officer, homeroom mother, band concession stand volunteer, and is a member of the Gridiron Gals. And whereas Mrs. Sasser has resigned as the director of the Muscle Shoals Education Foundation to accept a position as the foundation director for Helen Keller Hospital, now therefore be it resolved that the Muscle Shoals Board of Education wishes to express its appreciation and congratulations to Karen Sasser for the outstanding contributions made to the Muscle Shoals City Schools. And so we're going to present this to you. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. Did you bring your speech with you?
No, I didn't.
You don't want to make a speech? Let's give her a hand. All right, thank you so much. We appreciate you. All right, Madam President, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Holden. Fellow board members, is there anything else that any of you guys want to say tonight? Okay, hearing none, we have completed our agenda and this meeting is now adjourned.
All right.